Hello there, everybody. This is another episode of the SLTD Going Over Big Time podcast. I am, of course, the Fantastic. Once again, being joined by Mike and Tanner. Tanner is back from after a seemingly long hiatus.
Extremely long hiatus. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah,
It's been a one hell of a weekend watching AEW Revolution. Highlighted, of course, by the retirement of the legendary icon Sting. So after a almost 40-year career in the wrestling industry, Sting hung up his boots for the last time in one of the craziest matches I've probably ever seen. First of all, I want to say very glad to talk to you guys. And funny thing is, for those of you who are listening, I've never actually met either of you, Tanner or Mike, in person. Now, Tanner and Mike, I know you guys have met before in person, but I have not, being from
no,
Canada.
No.
But I find, oh, really? Okay, whatever. But I find that having these conversations with you over the pod and offline and in other areas has been very positive and just very frankly, just reasonable and just great conversations with you, unlike certain people that I've had conversations with recently. And ironically, it's like actual fucking wrestling fans up here in Toronto. This all surrounded. I'm just gonna say this out, and if you guys have any comments on it, fine. If you don't, then I'll just move on. But suffice it to say, so Dave and Buster's, the franchisee, I think across North America, that's like a recreation slash bar, a restaurant. They were showing Revolution this past weekend in certain locations across Canada. Two of them happened to be in Toronto. So I just kind of I was on a chat with certain guys who I see when I go to watch indie wrestling shows. I just kind of casually asked them, yeah. So do they charge me for any money if I go to watch it at Dave and Buster's, or? And then I just said kind of like, if they charge for free, I better just order some food so I don't feel like I'm a freeloader there. And then one of them, I'm not gonna say his name out of respect to just keep things private. Suffice it to say, I think he cut a promo on me. Instead of
he,
like
he, he
talking to me
cut a
like a
shoot
normal
on you.
person. Yeah, he cut a he I think he shot promo on me, right? He cut a shoot promo on me. Yeah, Tanner, I showed you this the whole thing offline, right? He's like, you think you can just sit there and not buy anything, but you have then you will have to, and so you say you want to go there and watch it for free, but by all means, go there and hang out with other fans. Do whatever you want, not for us to say go or not, but can't just show up there and not expect to buy something to eat while you watch the show. So after this was massive verbal diarrhea, I was like trying to figure out what this dude was trying to say. So I just re-clarified what I was trying to say. I'm just saying, look, it's a show. It's listed as free. Um, you know, they've shown this at Cineplex before, and they've charged me obviously like you watch a movie. So just wondering, like, are they really just gonna let you sit there and free and not buy anything? That means there has to be a catch, right? So I clarified myself. I I said, you know what, have a nice day. You guys are, obviously you might. I didn't say anything else. I just said like, okay, this is what I was trying to say. Have a nice day. Goodbye. But honestly, I feel like there are some people out there that just kind of really just are fucked up in the head, to be honest, and they're just. I wish I could find better words for it. Maybe just a little bit. They let the moment get to them, and so for that, I say, you know what? Um, yeah. Um, I don't know. It's just been very bizarre. I had some other stuff I want to say, but I think I've used the F word too many times already. So we'll just move on and just wanted to share a little bit about experiences interacting in person with other wrestling enthusiasts. There
I'll
you
I'll
go.
defend you for a minute here, Alan, if you don't mind, because you did
Sure.
bring this to my attention when we were watching the show. Um, and I personally don't know this person who you're speaking with, and
I am not. I wasn't.
it
No,
is
that's totally fine.
it's
Yep.
it's no business of mine, but I would say for one, it sounds like this person, whoever, may have been butthurt that they didn't get an invite to go have some hot wings with you to go to Dave and Buster's, and maybe that's their rationale.
To
I
to
digress.
to his
Um,
defense, to his defense, he was en route back from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to
uh,
Toronto because this dude was ironically traveling to another indie show in Montreal, and he was just on the bus en route back that night. So I don't know. Maybe he got up on the wrong side of the bed that morning and
yeah,
hit his head or something.
had somebody next to him on the bus that wasn't
Yeah.
really cool. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I would say the other thing too is just like, and maybe this is just I'm from the South in the U.S. I'm from Texas. I don't know how it is in New York or in Toronto. But there are definitely places where if you go there as as somebody who's just going to hang out somewhere, or if you go to a gas station, there's normally an obligation that you should buy something, or at least it's a pleasantry or some kind of there's at least some kind of inclination that you should purchase something. So I
Yeah.
think you're in the right.
Yeah.
I don't think that you did anything wrong
I feel
here.
like if I had the chance to look back on or redo it, I'd probably just ask it more in the form of a question like, "Yo, is Dave and Buster's really like showing Revolution for free? There's gotta be a catch, right? Like I gotta pay a
I don't
cover
have to
charge at least."
I don't have to buy
Uh,
the $20 worth of tokens or the hot wing basket
Yeah,
while
do you
I'm
want me to
there.
play
You
some
know,
stupid game or like maybe even the wrestling pinball
so
machine from WWE? Anyway.
so it's been a while for me, but I used to go to Dave and Buster's to watch UFC with
Uh-huh.
friends.
uh,
And as far as I can remember, we didn't have to pay to watch the show. We really you would just go, it was just on. Like it wasn't
sweet.
like it wasn't like an admission thing. It was like, oh, it's just on because we're showing it. And if you want to
Hmm.
stay and
Uh,
watch it, you can watch it.
cool.
So I mean, I don't, unless they tell you otherwise. Like, oh, if you're coming to watch this in particular, then you have to buy some food or something. But it's a public place,
Yeah.
so it usually when something like that is going on, you can just go there and watch it,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And suffice it to say, maybe I'll try it next time if
I
they
mean,
showed like
unless
a couple or
the
nothing.
only the only way that that would be different is if they use a like a hall to put the show on,
Oh,
like if it's a private room.
yeah.
Or if there's like a cover charge, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but if it's just on at the bar, then you're
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
just go.
you can just hang out.
I looked it up on the website. It literally said free. There was like no
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
conditions or
Mm-hmm.
asterisks. So
Yeah.
anyway, just moving on. That's just a little I thought I would just insert a little something
Just a
different.
little venting by Alan to start.
Yeah, a little
Uh,
venting by Alan because I was
uh,
like telling you guys we were gonna record on a later date, but and I was telling them if I feel better by then, maybe this would not be a topic.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, here we are. Let's move on to Revolution. Taking place Sunday, March 3rd at the Greensboro Coliseum, the very famous Greensboro Coliseum, where Sting essentially began his career and essentially ended his career. Total of I see 11 matches, including the pre-show.
Did
Oh,
anybody watch the pre-show?
I did actually. I got some notes down. I just wrote a couple of
Okay,
notes.
I did not watch the pre-show at all because it
Uh,
didn't seem like it was necessary.
all right. Well,
Well,
let
also
me.
because I wasn't
Yeah,
available.
yeah. I will just go through the first match.
Uh-oh. Oh, we lost him.
So I guess I'll go through the pre-show real quick.
Yeah, we
The
lost Alan for a second there, but I'm sure he'll be back in a second. I know what was on the pre-show. It was the Bang Bang Scissor Gang against the Jarrett family, and for
Sorry,
some reason,
I think my internet is feeling a little weak tonight. Let me see if I could.
I mean, you sound
Yeah.
better than you did before. I'll tell you that.
Aha, very funny.
No, you really do. That's that. I'm not even making a joke. You sound better audio wise.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Yeah, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang against the group of
Okay,
the Jarrett family.
I believe the term Karen Jarrett's Tupperware party was used, which I
I've
thought
never
sounded
heard that. I've never heard that before today.
well. Yeah, okay. Let's just say okay. This consisted of
before now.
sorry for me dropping out now, but it was the unless you guys said it already, it was the usual group of munchkins known as Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, but this time with Private Party and for some reason Willie Mack.
The only babyface on his team.
I was like, this is too much. I'm like, you know, I'm joking. I'm thinking about myself. Willie Mack must be thinking in the back of his mind, what the heck am I doing to these fools? Right?
Yeah, and I mean, even before you talk about the match, we talked about it before the show. They could have just taken him and Satnam Singh out of this match and put Butcher and Blade in there, and it would have made more sense.
Yeah, they're still employed by AEW, right? As far as I know. Okay.
Yes, they are.
All right. Well, no surprise here. Jay White picks up the win.
Shocking.
And and then there's a post-match promo where Jay White says he is looking forward to handling some big business on March 13th. And we later find out that he is going to have his first ever match versus Darby Allin. So a first time matchup between those two gentlemen.
That should be a fun match.
Yeah. So other notable things on the pre-show. We got a vignette of Pac possibly looking the return. This promo was almost like during the pandemic when he was stuck in England. It was literally they used some of the same clips where it's like he's going out of his mind. He's like seeing versions of himself around him, and he's like, yeah, it's like. But the basic point is like he's coming back to fuck some people up. I think that's pretty much what's happening.
I'm very happy that he's going to be back. I mean, he got hurt, and he's been gone for a while. Apparently had some kind of really serious injury that's kept him out for this long. But I'm looking forward to him being back and to have some matches that he hasn't had before. I think it's time to move on from Death Triangle and just let him be a singles guy.
Yeah, they don't even need to acknowledge the Death Triangle being split up or discontinued. It's just like just let him come back, do something else, and that's fine. You know, you don't need to have some major on-screen breakup of a team. Next thing that happened was that backstage promo with Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and I think Best Friends and Rocky was there. Rocky Romero there too. He asked all his friends to stay in the back during his match with Roderick Strong for the international title because, as a good friend, he does not want to see his friends get hurt anymore. His friends have been getting their asses laid out on them by the Kingdom, Undisputed Kingdom, in the last couple of weeks. So that was in there. And then finally, to close off the pre-show, we had the team of Willow and Chris Statlander defeating Sky Blue and TBS champion Julia Hart. This match was kind of building up towards at some point because Sky Blue kind of went dark in terms of personality. Started this alliance with Julia Hart, and then Willow and Stat started teaming up, and then Stokely Hathaway is involved in there somewhere. He's really trying to make this Willow and Chris Statlander thing a thing, and taking some really funny pictures on his X account. So anyway, that was the pre-show. And so to begin the pay-per-view, we had
who won the tag match?
Oh, I said it, but you probably missed it. It was Willow and Statlander.
Oh, okay.
And it was Willow. It was Willow hitting the Dr. Bomb on Sky Blue to get the pin.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
No reaction here. Okay, we're starting the pay-per-view off with the TNT title match between Daniel Garcia, the challenger, and Christian Cage, the defending champion, accompanied by his cult / patriarchy, Nick Wayne, Mother Wayne, Killswitch / Luchasaurus. Not not much
So
surprise here, but yeah.
a lot of this match was Garcia working on the knee, which is something that he's very good at. He's a technical master as far as I'm concerned. He's one of those guys that just gets it in the ring. And yeah, he spent a lot of time working on the knee. And yeah, there wasn't really like a lot to this match because it kind of just was your paint by numbers Christian match as of late. Um, there wasn't like any great spots in it or anything like that. Christian did like a diving headbutt and Garcia like sidestepped it and locked in a ankle lock. That was a cool spot. Um, but yeah, there was just a lot of nothing going on in this match except distractions, which is getting tired with the Christian stuff.
Yeah, the only I think major pop, if you will, was Kill Switch was about to do something, and then Daddy Magic came out and made the save, and then basically brawled with Kill Switch to the back, so taking
Yeah.
big man out of the equation. But
Mhm.
that still left Mother Wayne and Nick Wayne, and I think I do recall there was an interaction between Daddy Magic and Mother Wayne, in which I
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
thought the man was about to slap this woman down or something, but apparently not. Yeah, no surprise. Christian picked up the win after some help.
Yeah, Nick Wayne gave
Oh yeah, he gave
Garcia
like a
like
cutter.
like a guillotine on the rope
Yeah, that was the
while
distraction.
his mom distracted the ref.
Yes, distracted the ref, and so no surprise. Christian retains with help from his stupid cult, and yeah,
Yes.
definitely expecting at some point
I
a returning Adam Copeland to exact
yes.
vengeance.
I was kind of hoping that maybe they would go in some other direction here where Daniel Garcia could either possibly win or Adam Copeland turn heel, showing up and turning heel, causing Garcia to lose. But we didn't get any of that. It was just a Christian match that you could have did on Dynamite.
So here's a little nugget that I could predict here. That's a very good like storyline in terms of having Adam turn heel and joining Christian as a heel team because he wanted them to team together.
Yeah.
My understanding is on March 20th, AEW will be coming to Toronto Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking for a return from the Rated R superstar, it could possibly be in his hometown. And we
That
might
would
see
make
that. And
sense.
we might see that swerve. I don't know. Maybe.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Because I assume this isn't over.
No, no. After a concerto that took
Yeah,
Adam's own move took him taking it out for a couple of weeks now.
yeah.
This
Um,
this is definitely not over.
but yeah, and I like I said, I'm not a huge fan of distraction finishes in general. But and we actually had more than one on this show, but we'll talk about the other one later. But Tanner, what did you think of this match as a whole?
I mean, I thought it was decent for the most part, but it was certainly not the hottest opener that I think that they could have gone with. I think
Mm-hmm.
that um, this could have certainly been something that you could have saved for Dynamite,
Yep,
if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Um, and in all honesty, the match that comes after this, that should have been the opener, bar none. I think that would have been an even better kickoff to the show. So
absolutely.
not terrible, but I think that if you're looking for an opener, they could have done a little
Yeah.
bit better here.
So I will say off the top, none of these matches are quote unquote bad.
No,
Some of them are just not great, which is fine.
exactly.
Um so yeah, I think that something has to happen with this Christian reign. I feel like it's been going on too long. I the thing that he did where he took Luchasaurus's title shot and just won the title right back when Copeland had just beat him for it was, a cool little thing that, because when he was Edge, he was the ultimate opportunist, and somebody did that to him, kind of
Mhm.
thing. I get why they did it, but yeah,
Mhm.
this reign with Christian is kind of just it's not working anymore. It's not
it's
working
been, yeah,
anymore.
mediocre at best. Yeah, really. In a sense, it's really glad that they introduced the international title. That so there is a actual workhorse title to kind of, I guess, became the successor to the TNT title, because originally it was the TNT title that was kind of the workhorse belt.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tanner mentioned that there was a match that probably should have been the kickoff match, and that was the next one, which was
Yes.
for the Continental Crown Championship, of the which includes the Ring of Honor and the new world title, New Japan Strong openweight title. Eddie Kingston defending against Brian Danielson in just an absolute brutal encounter. All for the low price of a handshake from the American Dragon. Yeah. Eddie
Yes.
Kingston has systematically gone through every member of the Blackpool Combat Club. The only thing he hasn't gotten is respect from Daniel Bryan, who has denigrated him on air, saying for 20 years ago we thought Eddie had the potential, but he squanders it, and now I'm going to take the title from him. And Danielson spent weeks taking down legendary characters such as Yuji Nagata, Hechizero from CMLL, and one of Eddie's mentors or heroes, Yun Akiyama from All Japan. Kicked Akiyama in the balls. Wow, that was a
Well,
low
that
blow.
was just to get to Eddie.
That was a gift for that was a little gift for Eddie there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't have any notes other than "what a match" written in bold letters, because from start to
Uh,
finish it was just, it started slow, but then it just kind of built up, and then you just hear people getting their chest chopped, and just this
yes.
noise, the noise from those chops was just made me even hurt. Um,
Mhm.
a
It
big,
was.
yeah, one of the first spots was me seeing Danielson suplex Eddie outside of the ring, and Danielson very intelligently positioned himself in a way so when you do a suplex, you don't also land on the outside and hurt
Mm-hmm.
yourself as well.
Yes.
And this was pointed out by Nigel, very good of him. But yeah, I don't know, like I don't have any other words, but I
So
remember the finish. But other than that,
there
what do you
was
think?
a nice callback to their first match in AEW when Danielson did the stomps to the head where he holds the arms, the arm trap stomps.
Mhm.
He did those stomps and then went into a triangle choke. And the first time that they ever faced in AEW, the triangle choke is what finished the match, and Eddie passed out with the middle finger up.
Mhm.
Like, so there was a
I
callback to
remember
that, but
that.
he did that again, but this time he fought out of it, which I thought was a nice callback. Um, there was a point where they were trading strikes that I really liked, where Eddie like basically just like asked for more strikes and he lowered the straps and he
He's
was just like hit
he's
me
like,
harder and they were doing like half and half suplexes and Danielson was flipping out of them and hitting his own
well, they
half and
were
half
they
and
suplexed each other, but they kept landing on their feet, and then they just got
yeah,
right back
Mhm.
up.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
Yeah. Okay.
and
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and Danielson has those brutal kicks, and he has one of the nicest German suplexes I've ever seen. Like, it's just like it's crazy how good both of these guys are, and the fact that it took Eddie Kingston this long to get this kind of notoriety and this kind of stage, and whether that's his own doing or somebody else's, it doesn't matter. But this story that they've been telling basically since the beginning of the Continental, since he won the ROH title, which was to finally beat Claudio and get respect from him, to beat John Moxley, which he had never done, and get the respect from him, whether he had it or not, because John Moxley is his friend, and the fact that he beat Danielson in the Continental Classic, but never got the respect that he wanted. So he got the respect from the people that he wanted it from the most. And they did a promo after this match, like on YouTube, I guess, where these two are in the training room and getting like looked at, and Kingston was just like, "Oh, I don't care. I don't care. It's cool that they like it, but I don't care what the fans think. It's cool if blah blah blah, whatever. All I care about is getting respect from the guys in the locker room, because if I have the respect of the guys in the locker room, then that means that I did something right." And
Yeah,
Eddie leaves, and then Brian does a separate promo by himself talking about how Eddie Kingston earned his respect. And that was the whole point of this story, and it just wraps up great in this match, which is just two of the best that are going today. I mean, Danielson's probably the best wrestler in the world, regardless of whatever you may think. But I absolutely love this match. Tanner, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with that assertion that Danielson's the best in the world. I don't think that there's any doubt in my mind about that as far as technical proficiency and just if I had to think of the best all arounder,
Yeah,
most gifted all around from promos to psychology to in ring work to in ring psychology, any of that technique, whatever, flawless, peerless. Um, I would definitely suggest to savor moments like this regarding Brian Danielson, because for all we know, there's not too many matches left beyond this year. So, definitely go catch this one. It's excellent. It definitely gave me all of the old All Japan vibes. Danielson, I think he had a good idea that that's what Kingston wants in most of his matches, and I think he was very complimentary of that.
yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean,
And the
I
violence
don't.
was spectacular too, so that was cool.
yeah,
It was just it was just brutal, and this is such a. I mean, yeah, the steps of Eddie's story has just been unfolding in such a enormous way. Like he's beaten everybody that he's looking respect from. Sometimes you gotta wonder like what's next. This is like a path towards Eddie becoming a world champion almost at some point. Not
at
not,
some
not
point.
now, but
Yeah,
down the road.
Yeah.
Just trying to imagine who could possibly dethrone him for this illustrious title. I mean, he may hold it until the next Continental Classic or whatever the next tournament.
yeah.
Right?
Well, there is an ROH pay-per-view coming up in, I think,
Yeah, Super Card of Honor, I think.
April. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to defend at that show. They got to
Mhm.
figure out what they're actually doing with that brand, considering that like
Right.
half of their champions are never on that show. The only champion that is on that show consistently and is never on Dynamite is Athena,
Yeah, I
which
don't.
is
Yeah, what? Yeah,
mind-boggling to me.
not the veer off here, but yeah, Athena, who wasn't even on Revolution, is getting some attention from us because she's been champion for over 40 days now,
Yeah,
and over a year, and hasn't been on Dynamite once. It's very perplexing.
yeah.
I'm like, and
It's
her
weird,
character stuff,
but
if you paid attention to it, is amazing. This
but
deserves to be on TV.
the ROH World Champion, the ROH World Tag Team Champions, and the ROH World Six-Man Champions have not been on the ROH show in like 4 months.
Yeah, hey, what's with this bang bang scissor gang stuff? I mean, this kind of stuff would be really funny on Ring of Honor.
So yeah,
I mean,
so
I
I
don't know.
hope that they figure all of that out. But yeah, this match, absolutely, just one of the matches of the night for sure.
Yeah, okay. From the sort of heavy appetizers to sort of the meat portion of the event.
Oh boy,
This is next is the All-Star 8-man scramble. Originally dubbed the Meat Madness match because of
yes,
Wardlow. Was supposed to be of Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, and then Lance Archer. Originally, it was supposed to be Miro and Keith Lee in there too, but they're out
yeah,
with injuries, so not available. So this
yeah,
match ended up becoming consistent of the three men I just mentioned, plus Hook, um, Dante Martin, Magnus from CMLL, Chris Jericho, and I want to say
Brian
Brian Cage.
Brian
Yes.
Cage. Mhm.
So right there, you have half of this contingent meat worthy, for lack of a better
Yes.
term. And basically, this match was how it started. They were all in the ring. They were all like beating each other up, and then suddenly the quote unquote smaller individuals were cleared of the ring, leaving Lance, Hobbs, Wardlow, and Brian Cage in the ring, and the fans knew exactly what was happening. They started meat
Yeah.
chants. Strangely enough, they started posing and like doing a pose down in facing not the hard cam but the Tron.
Yeah. Well, Wardlow
What?
does that thing. Wardlow does that thing when he poses where he likes to
Yeah,
watch
so
himself.
they're like doing this and then this, and then
Yeah,
Cage
it's-
is like, yeah, look at me, and then
Yeah.
Lance Archer, the only intelligent person not to get into this ridiculous charade,
Mhm.
they finally start hitting each other with clotheslines and charges, and all the while the fans were just going meat, meat, meat
And
the
while
entire
this is
time.
happening, because this is very early in the match, while this is happening, the four smaller people are just laying down.
I was like, where were they? I was like,
They're not
that's what I
doing
saw throughout
anything.
this whole thing. It's like you got guys like Dante that's going, oh, okay, should I come back in?
Is
Yeah, and then
this done? Can I go back in the ring?
like Lance is like,
yeah,
hey Jake, when can I go back in the ring?
yeah. Y'all done
Yeah.
posing yet? Yeah.
Wait, okay,
And
it wasn't
then
even.
and
Yeah,
then
go on.
then all of the big guys disposed of each other, and all of the small guys did the exact same thing, which
Yeah, it's like it
was
was like a
very
meat.
dumb.
It was like there was no chance for this one. It was the mini meat version, and Jericho was like trying to scream mini meat. I think Jericho
Yeah.
actually screamed out mini meat at
Or
Magnus, Dante, and
something.
Cook,
Yeah.
attempting to get them to do the same thing, but it was just not the same energy.
Yeah.
It was just like
There
Perhaps
was
there's a draft in the building or an open
eh,
window somewhere.
yeah. There was a lot going on in this match. This match wasn't for
yeah,
me.
like superplexes all around. I do believe Wardlow did a superplex on Archer, which was
Yeah.
pretty impressive, and then Cage did Cage was a
He
student
does
of
that apron superplex.
yeah, which is a tribute to the late Chris Canyon, I believe.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I might be skipping ahead. So, Mike, if there's stuff that in this match that
I
happened,
wrote nothing down for this match.
okay. So at one point, this is the fucking dumb part. So Jericho and Hobbs are still going after each other because there's like leftover shit from Jericho's interactions with the Don Callis family. And Hobbs at one point, I think, threw Jericho outside the ring, and then he went, and then Hobbs ran to the other side of the ring on the outside, and instead of like going after Jericho, he takes the straps down and he starts posing, and the cameraman is like right up to the corner of his face, and then do this thing where
Mhm.
Hobbs starts charging at Jericho. But then suddenly, this huge cloud of white mist just explodes in Hobbs's face,
Yeah.
and he's taken
It
out
was
for the rest of the match. It was the fog
smoke.
machine
Yeah.
water or the
Yep.
smoke machine water
Yes.
that eliminated Hobbs,
And
a 300-pound man from this.
Taz complained about this for
Yeah,
a
he was
very
saying
long
yeah,
time.
yeah, the smell was just
The rest of the show.
Yeah, the fumes were just in my face. I can't breathe and all this other stuff.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Uh,
I also remember at one point Wardlow, Hook had his submission hold on Wardlow.
Yeah.
Wardlow is taken down to his knees and he's like flat on his stomach. Meanwhile, Jericho comes in and hooks and puts Wardlow in the walls of Jericho. So while Hook is still locking in the sleeper, so it's like one of those situations where the ref is like, if Wardlow taps out now, who wins the match? But
Mhm.
not that. No, that didn't happen. The holds were broken up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about Dante Martin. Yeah, that kid needs
He
some
had a
work.
little slip up.
Little slip up. So for those of you who didn't see it, Dante Martin attempted to do I guess
It was like a
over the
step
top
up.
rope.
It was like a step
Over the
up
rope
dive. Yeah.
dive, and he missed, and he only hit the
His foot
apron.
got caught.
His foot got caught.
Yeah.
And the other guys tried to make it look like they were taking the impact, but
Well, he also got back up and just went back on the top rope and did a dive after.
Oh, okay. But then there was also a part when he went to the corner and he tried to climb up on the ropes, kept slipping. But I think that was not as noticeable as the botch dive.
Honestly, I will take a shitty looking dive over him bending his foot backwards any day of
Yeah,
the
I
week.
was like, when you were commenting on that, I was like, oh no, is he injured again? I'm like, but
Yeah.
anyway, as we talked offline, the outcome of this match was not a
It
surprise.
was never in question
No, it
before
was.
before anybody was
Remember,
announced for this
remember
match.
how we predicted elimination chamber winners
Yeah.
in our sister pod SLTD prediction league? It was no brainer. It was Drew McIntyre, it was Becky Lynch, and in this match it was definitely Wardlow because there is
Yes.
no way the guy from CMLL or Lance Archer. I'm sorry, Lance is a good guy, but he's just been not booked in that way.
Lance is the good hand of the
Good
company. He's
hand, the
not.
big good
He's
hand, and
yeah.
he'll probably kill all of us for saying that. But yeah,
It is what it is. This match was not for me.
yeah.
I don't
Um,
think this match needed to be on the main card, considering how predictable it was. I would have preferred if they put this on the pre-show and had a Face of the Revolution ladder match, which they did not do this year,
yeah,
which is
that
so
was
odd.
that was. They could have made this the face of the
And
Revolution ladder
they
match,
could have
right?
also did that, but they also could have did the first ever women's Face of the Revolution ladder match, which they have never done. You have a lot of talent now. It's very easy to do it. And you could have just given the winner a TBS title shot. And hey, you could have put Chris and Willow in this match if they had done that.
So definitely
Yeah.
something for AEW if you're listening to put in your
Well,
2025 pay per
I'm
view
sure I'm
card.
not the only person who thought of this, but
Yeah.
yeah, this match was just it was what it was. It was a lot of crazy nonsense and Wardlow winning.
Fun meat stuff, crazy nonsense. Fog machine water getting a pop, and
And again,
Wardlow power bombing Dante for the win.
I will reiterate, it was a fun match. It just was not a great match, and that's fine.
Okay. Uh,
Tanner, your thoughts
any final
overall?
thoughts on this?
No, I mean, I agree with you guys. I think it was fine for what it was, but I mean, again, could we have just savored the meat for another time? Perhaps so.
I agree.
Yeah, let's move on to the next match, which was the Undisputed Kingdom getting back-to-back appearances. So Wardlow gets his world title shot, and now Roderick Strong will have his chance to compete for the international title that he's been gunning after against Orange Cassidy. I wasn't surprised about the outcome of this either, or
Me neither.
Roderick Strong going over. They said it from the beginning of this group. Roddy's going after the international title. Orange has been a great champion, but the greatest run he had was his first run. The second
Yes.
run, to be honest, was a bit of an accident. John
What wasn't
Moxley
supposed to happen?
was not supposed to happen, but it happened. Roddy pretty much took Orange out everywhere, like gut busters, backbreakers. He is the messiah of such moves. I remembered he did a gut wrench on OC onto the top turnbuckle.
That
At
yeah,
that point,
that was
that
one
looked
of the spots of the match for sure.
yeah. Oh yeah. But Orange Cassidy did manage to hit Roddy with a Panama Sunrise, surprisingly.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, if there's any other spots you want to chime in on, Tanner and Mike, I was just gonna go right into the finish and the
Um,
surprise after the match.
so there wasn't anything crazy other than that top rope backbreaker spot,
Yeah.
which was gnarly looking, but I loved it. And
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point where Orange Cassidy went into his normal, fire up. I'll hit you with a running DDT, and then a diving DDT, and then I'll hit you with the orange punch, and then I'll try to hit the beach break, but I can't, and because my back is giving out, and that was a big part of the match throughout. I mean, his ribs and his back were hurt, and you got a guy who does backbreakers regularly. It was
Mm-hmm.
pretty obvious at that point who was winning. Um, and yeah, at one point he tried to fire up again, and Roddy hit that rising knee, which I love. He has one of the best rising knee strikes that I've ever seen, and hits the end of Heartache, which another one of the best moves I've ever seen. I love that move so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
yeah,
yeah.
got the victory. So
Roderick Strong is your new AEW International Champion, but that wasn't the main, I guess, highlight of the post-match stuff because as soon as Roddy and Taven and Bennett were in the ring celebrating, we see this person slipping in the ring, and I'm like, who is that? And then I look, and it's like Kyle O'Reilly,
a very
very
tired Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, he
yeah,
was
tired and
hadn't gotten some
very
sleep.
long-haired Kyle O'Reilly. He looks like he's been self-isolating for 2 years from COVID or something. And
I mean,
yeah, Kyle O'Reilly
essentially, yes.
it's just essentially popped up, and it's like,
4
what the hell is
years,
that?
likely.
Yeah, he looked like he's been under hibernation or something. But yeah, Kyle O'Reilly like facing his buddy Roderick Strong. He gives Roddy a big hug, and then I think Bennett took
Bennett
his
takes
shirt
his
off
shirt off and then just
and
gives it to him.
tries to
He's
give,
like,
as in like you're part of the kingdom now, right? You're part of us undisputed kingdom. And then O'Reilly looks at the shirt. He's like, gives a little smile, like, thanks guys. See you later. And he leaves them with the shirt. He leaves the ring.
and that was the last we heard of it.
That was the last we heard of it. There was a brief post online only AEW clip of Kyle leaving the building, and one of the interviewers was like, Kyle, what are you doing here? And he didn't say anything. He just left. And now we don't know what the hell is going on.
So I think it's very clear that I think if Adam Cole and MJF were both healthy, I think Kyle O'Reilly would have just joined. And there would be none of this. I think they got to find something else for these guys to do while both of those guys are hurt, because it kind of feels like they're just treading their wheels right now, because that was the point of this group.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's no word on how long Adam Cole's rehab is going or when his recovery is. He's essentially become the manager of this group.
Well, I mean, because they had this big reveal at World's End, and you want to have the guy on TV, so they got to do something. But again, it's not obviously not going as they had hoped right now. But so I think that this was probably a pivot to whatever.
Yeah, it will
something else for now, and then Kyle will probably just join when the time is right. And I mean, we'll see where it goes, because I mean, I like this group a lot. I like everybody in this group a lot, and I want it to work. It's just right now it's not, because the direction is not there.
Yeah,
I do feel like adding Kyle might change the dynamic of the group a bit. I think it might make sense a little bit if maybe Wardlow made way for Kyle. Maybe they turn on Wardlow at some point, and Wardlow maybe realigns himself with MJF.
Because remember, Adam Cole's plan is for Wardlow to win the world title and then just give it to him. And then Wardlow's got that like, yeah, guys.
Yeah.
He's
gonna do the Batista thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows if it'll even get that far. I mean, obviously, we're gonna see Wardlow get a title shot at some point. But who knows? I guess they kind of just gotta figure out what they're doing with this group for now. I mean, Taven and Bennett are literally just there. They're not doing anything. I mean,
they should be competing for tag titles.
They have tag titles. They're not defending them.
They're not defending them.
Well, the other tag titles,
yeah.
There's too many tag titles. I'm losing track.
Right.
I mean, Taven had that great death match for no reason with Orange Cassidy.
I was like, yeah, what the hell was
that? Was a great match, but why is this a death match for no reason at all?
What a waste of what I would call political capital. I mean, just like what was the payoff of that? Like, you've shown that Taven is like this huge singles guy that could do something, but it's like, Well, what's next?
Yeah.
But anyway,
So we'll see where this goes. Obviously, I'm happy for Roddy finally getting something after the time
yeah.
that he's been there, and he was for most of it playing up that he was hurt, and sitting in a wheelchair when he didn't need to. And
Although
that,
that time did allow him to develop a incredible character. Um,
yes,
yes. Anyway, I think we should move on to this ridiculous tag match.
Oh
The
my
Blackpool
gosh.
Combat Club of Moxley and Claudio versus FTR. And since we are in Greensboro Coliseum, the BCC coming out with a tribute to the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, by wearing black spray painted shoulder pads with the
hmm
spikes. And when I saw that, I was like, wow. I was like, and I
yeah.
thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. When before they were the Legion of
So
Doom, the Road Warriors were all over Crockett Country, weren't they?
yeah, so obviously we talked about their first encounter, which was a 20-minute time limit draw on
Yes.
Dynamite,
This is why this
and
match. Yeah.
that the whole reason why this match exists in the first place. And all they did to answer that was give them 10 extra minutes. And that's it. Like there was no stipulation like we had probably predicted. I mean, we could have seen like a falls count anywhere or something like that. But no, we just got a really good wrestling match, which
Mhm.
was enough for me. I mean, and probably most people. This was one of the best non-championship tag matches I've ever seen. Um,
Yeah, I think
and
all four guys really came in with the desire to really hurt each other. Not in the real way, but like they
yeah,
definitely were quite snug. Both teams just absolutely amazing. I mean, props, hats off to these guys because it's truly a great match here. Tag team
so
wrestling is certainly still alive and
uh,
well.
a spot that I need to call out that I absolutely loved was FTR was trying to go for their version of the Doomsday, which is
Hmm.
a power bomb clothesline combination,
Hmm.
and Claudio just sitting up there in the power bomb position, just catches Cash and does a power slam while he's
Yeah,
sitting in a power bomb seated position.
it's absolutely
Like
ridiculous. Like
nobody should
the
be able to
sheer
do that.
no, the sheer strength and athleticism that you would have to do that you would have to do something like that. And Claudio's not like any spring chicken. He's been in the business for at least 20 years, so he's probably in his almost 40s. I
Yeah,
mean, that's incredible.
I absolutely love that spot. That was one of my favorite spots. Um, One spot that was confusing to me was Dax started bleeding, but it seemed like he started bleeding when he hit his shoulder into the post. Like
Hmm.
when did he hit his head?
Like
Like
wondering how did this blood start spewing out?
yeah, I mean obviously we know how it started, but the reasoning didn't seem to line up to me. Um but it was fine because it told the story that it needed to tell.
Yes.
Um but Yeah, so Mox and Claudio did their own version of the Doomsday, the classic version, but Claudio added a little wrinkle to it by doing a springboard uppercut
Oh,
instead of
my god.
instead of a flying
I remember that.
clothesline.
That was
I
crazy.
like I absolutely just like these guys are just great at wrestling and they just love it. You could tell
Hmm.
that all four of these guys just love wrestling. And that is very clear by the way that they performed in this match, the way they performed with each other. Um, I love that basically every member of the BCC has adopted the Claudio and Tyson Kidd finish of the swing drop kick
Hmm.
combination. I love that move. I've always loved that move, and I'm glad that they brought it back in this group. Um, the way Moxley just like lines up for that, it's like he's like very calculated and lining up his shot, and it just looks brutal every time. I love it. Let's see what other spots. So the big finish at the end, there was like a swing into the barricade, then a pile driver on the floor,
Oh,
and then a death rider for 2, crucifix counter for 2, and then
yeah.
dual chokes.
So I think at this point, like Claudio was taken out by the pile driver, and then Cash was taken out by a Death Rider on the outside. So
Oh
that
no,
left Mox.
the death rider was in the ring.
Oh, sorry, but I remember that it was at one point where Cash and Claudio were taken out on the outside,
Yeah,
which
so that was
left
the
Moxley and Dax in the ring, and I think
yeah.
that
So
was a highlight. Since Dax started the bleeding, they were
yeah,
highlighting him.
so Claudio did the swing into the barricade to Cash,
Okay.
and
Oh,
then
okay.
Dax did the pile
Right.
driver to Claudio on the
That's
floor,
what happened. Right.
and then Dax went back in and immediately ate a Death Rider, and
Yeah.
then kicked out and immediately turned that into a crucifix pin. And then
Yeah.
after that, Moxley lined up for the Bulldog choke and just turned it into a rear naked. And Cash was going to make the save, but Claudio just put on his own rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And that was the finish.
And then that was the finish. Dax passed out, and BCC won the match. They kind of looked at each other at the end. They didn't shake hands or anything, but they looked at each other in the end. They're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the BCC, one of their mottos is like, we don't really let you join unless you bleed with us first or something. In this
or
case,
at least,
it was mostly,
at least earn our respect.
or at least earn our respect. So I think at this point, FTR has earned the respect of BCC, at this point in time, and who knows where this go from here. Suffice it to say, I do believe we're going to talk about this later, but Mox and Claudio have definitely put themselves, at least in the rankings, as top contenders for the tag titles.
Oh, well, especially after that match, yes.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
like they were talking about, they were saying, yeah, we definitely got some possible contenders for the tag titles. Looking at it right here, so no question.
Yep.
I don't know if this was announced before or after this, but there is a new pay-per-view for AEW coming in April.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be called Dynasty. It's going to take place on Sunday, April 21st in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yes.
Yeah, Dynasty, very interesting name.
Yep.
Not the old show from the, what was it, the soap opera from the 80s or whatever the heck that was. Yeah, anyway, it's not Dallas. I was thinking of Dallas. No, that Dynasty is some other thing. But yes, Dynasty also happens to be the former faction of MJF. So just throw that out there.
Hammerstone is a little busy.
Yes, Hammerstone officially signed with Total Nonstop Action Wrestling TNA.
Yes.
Richard Holiday still lurking around in the indies somewhere. But anyway.
Yeah, he's freelancing.
Yeah. Anyway, the next match is the AEW Women's Title match. Yep. Deonna Purrazzo facing Timeless Toni Storm. Yeah. So when Toni came out, we heard her old music come out, and I was like, I looked at the girl that came out. I was like, oh wow, did Toni just completely reverse everything? And I looked at like, is that Mariah May? I'm like, oh yeah, it's
literally every person did that.
Yeah, I was like, that's very good.
They made like a really good effort in making her look like Toni Storm.
It was It was almost eerie that how much she looks like Toni Storm. And I think that will play in the future storylines. But suffice it to say, we got a little taste of the old Toni Storm before Timeless one graced us with her presence.
Yes.
Black and white everywhere. Luther, the butler, carrying her to the ring. And this match, not bad. It was only about 10, 12 minutes.
So
Deonna
this match was fine. Yeah, this match was fine for what it was, and I wasn't like surprised that these two had a good match. The problem was that it was the same problem as the Christian match. You kind of have like I mean, the difference is this was a better wrestling match, but the problem is that you have like all this great stuff in the middle, and then you just do a distraction finish, which isn't great. And of course, they did that spot where Deanna got the submission, but the ref was distracted, so she removed the hold and all of that. But there was some good back and forth action in this one. Deanna is just so smooth at everything that she does. I mean, I've sung her praises for ever since she left WWE. I mean, she's always been this good. It's just that she didn't get the chance to show it in WWE, and when she finally did in TNA, I was not surprised. So having this match with these two, which again, they have great chemistry anyway because they're friends, and I love the Deanna did like the sequence in like the middle of the match where she hit a running knee and then a Russian leg sweep and then just floated over into the Fujiwara armbar just seamlessly. Like she could do that in her sleep. But yeah, Tony hit a nice drop toe hold and then hit the gruesome looking hip attack in the corner. Every time she does it, it looks hot. It looks like it hurts. Tony had an ankle lock on. They were kind of in the build to this. They were kind of doing that to each other. Like Deanna was trying to prove that she had everything. She had other things in her arsenal, but Tony was like using that move also out of spite. I think. And but yeah, there was the spot like towards the end. Tony got kicked off the apron and Luther caught her. And then Deanna, I think this was a pivot. Deanna, I think, was trying to do a moonsault, but she couldn't like get her footing, so she just turned it into a crossbody. And she knocked down Luther and Tony. And then they went back in the ring and Tony taps to the Venus de Milo. But Luther had the referee distracted, of course, which prompted Mariah May to get on the apron and for Deanna to knock her off the apron and then turn around right into the pile driver for the victory. Don't like the finish. Love the match.
Yeah, we could do with less distractions. I would have been fine with Deanna winning the title, but I felt like it's a little too early. I was like, well, not surprised that Tony retained. Definitely, there is something more to build on this rivalry here. They've talked about the friendship they used to have, so maybe they'll build to something for Double or Nothing. But then again, we are expecting a lot of other names to sign with AEW in the next 2 months or so, possibly in the women's division. So who knows how that will factor in. I'm just hoping that Deanna will get a chance here in AEW that she did in TNA, and not just get lost in the shuffle or like get sent to Ring of Honor and not come back. It's like they enter purgatory. Ring of Honor is like the undead realm of AEW at this point. Okay, let's move on. We have 3 more matches.
Tanner, what did you think of this match
Tanner, yes.
as a whole?
No, yeah, no. I mean, you guys covered it brilliantly. I thought Deanna Purrazzo was, as Mike said, very smooth, very technically adept. I mean, there's no surprise there. I will say that I do like how Tony, as a character, has almost completely changed her moveset, bar the hip attack, because like all of her movements seem a lot more. The word old timey, like the term old timey keeps coming to mind, but like it is like watching someone from the past wrestle in a modern context, and I think that's really really well done on Tony's part.
So just to add to this, I watched the post show presser the next day. I didn't watch it as it happened, but she of course appeared on the post-show press conference, and before she sat down, she goes, "I have a prepared statement," and she read like a statement thanking everybody, um, and she basically did what she did last time, which was like, "All right, let's get down to brass tacks here. We all know what's going on, and I think it's time to finally let the people have what they want. Wendy Richter, I'm calling you out."
Calling you
just,
out, bitch. I'm gonna fuck you up.
she actually did say that, yeah. It's hilarious every single time because we know that she's alluding to the thing that's happening on the 13th.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think somebody else is going to face that person.
Yeah. A lot of funny lines in that press conference from Tony as well.
But
I'm
yes,
telling Deanna, yeah, time to go back to Impact and
oh yeah, she did say that.
congratulating Sting on a successful retirement and giving him the use of her summer beach house or whatever
Yeah.
she has in her disposal.
Yeah. So I just I love the character. I just wish that the in-ring is still great. It's just that the distraction finishes are killing it for me. I not completely. It's just that why do we need that when we already have this, you know?
Right. How many times are you going to see the same finish? I mean,
Yeah.
eventually it's going to be snapped, and that's hopefully the payoff to all that. But
Yes. So yeah, that was a fun match. For what it was, just not a fun finish. So with that, let's get into the best match of the entire show.
yeah, match
Yeah.
of the year candidate here.
Yeah, definitely. And it's only March. And it's again Will Ospreay.
Who already had one of these 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. Will Ospreay's first official match as an AEW signee, taking on his fellow Don Callis family member, Konosuke Takeshita. I mean, I don't like the build of how this match happened. It's like some
Well, because it
internal
makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like bullshit nonsense. I mean, but good lord, like these two guys were. I mean, they were like supposed to be friends in the same group, but still they beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
This was
I mean,
extremely
I already know
snug.
Big Take. I already know that Big Take was an impressive guy. Like this is the man who beat Kenny Omega twice in the space of a week. Will Ospreay has beaten not only Omega in Canada but Jericho in London, and as well as if you go back to Forbidden Door from the first time, Will Ospreay beat Orange Cassidy in his first match in any AEW context. So. But yeah, this stuff was just like crazy. Like I mean, the only spot that comes to the top of my mind right now is that insane suplex from the brain buster Takeshita did on
Brutal.
Will on the top
Absolutely brutal.
Ugh.
He was instantly bruised. Like like the camera panned
Yeah.
right to
the
his lower
camera
back,
saw
and
it.
it was
Will
just
was
like
showing everybody after the press conference. This is what happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for context, this was supposed to be like so when El Generico was still around, he used to do a move called the Brain Buster, which is basically just a brain buster onto the top of the top rope. And this was supposed to be this, but Will just slid right off and his back ate all of it. Like literally all of it. And yeah, immediately bruised. He was purple during the match. It was red when he showed it at the press conference. But yeah, that was crazy. There was a great sequence in the match where Takeshita did like a tombstone variant. It's like that one it's like the Dude Buster. He did like the Dude Buster and then immediately turned it into a wheelbarrow German which was just again
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
flawless. And then this was kind of getting some flack online, but I just don't care. If people have to get over it. Will Ospreay no sold it and immediately like fired up and hit like
Fired
a
up.
running elbow. And Bryce Remsburg's reaction to that running elbow was like he had an out of body experience. He literally like tensed up and was like this, like his chest was out, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's like,
And then yeah, but he was like completely like arms back, chest out. He's like, "Oh my god." Like it was amazing. And that was a 1 count, by the way.
yeah. So when you say the elbow, it was basically like almost a hidden blade from Will, and then
Yeah.
he went for the cover, and then Takeshita kicked out at 1. Like, what the hell is this? Oh my God.
Yeah, but that I absolutely love that spot. There was what was it? Pop up caught into a sit out flapjack by Takeshita, and then a drop kick and a tope to the outside. Let me see. I'm looking through my notes here. They were trading forearm smashes, and like neither guy would go down. And then Ospreay just hit like a hook kick out of nowhere. And then they just started hitting elbow shots at each other. And Ospreay
Ridiculous.
hit like 3 in a row, and Takeshita like went down for a second. And then Takeshita hit 3 in a row, and Ospreay like died for a second. Like like literally, like he just went, he like flopped to the ground. It was absolutely brutal. Let's see. Oscutter. Oh, the Oscutter that was caught in midair into a blue thunder bomb.
Oh my God. Oh.
Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about two of the best wrestlers in the world, just absolutely killing it.
Yeah, this is how you make two guys look absolutely brilliant. They want to work with each other. They want to showcase not just themselves, but the other guy in the ring too. This was a magical match, if you like the New Japan style, real hard hitting kind of stuff. Um,
Yes.
Takeshita is obviously a standout talent, and I think some people sleep on Takeshita, unfortunately, and that's a major mistake, as Will Ospreay's proved here. Both guys were great. The only thing that I don't like, and it's not even about this match, it's just the Don Callis family stuff. I think that's um, it's a bit overplayed, and when we lose the focus of it being on Kenny Omega and like Callis's revenge plots against Kenny Omega, I think everything else gets lost in the sauce a bit.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this was just a
So
great match. It didn't even need context.
yeah, it didn't even need Will's signature finish. It just like he hit the hidden blade again and he got the pin. You know, a lot of people were expecting the Stormbreaker, but you know, we probably saving that for something maybe even better. I don't know how, but I don't know what. I mean, there's obviously
Yeah.
gonna be matches that can top this, but this was, I was like, he's saving it for later. But yeah, afterwards the match is over.
Well, even before the finishing sequence, you had Ospreay hitting the Styles Clash, which he
yes, I
seems
saw
to be
that. I was
doing
like,
seems to be doing more frequently. I which is fine, I guess. He's adopting moves of other New Japan greats.
yeah.
And then he hit the Tiger Driver, which he's again kind of made into a regular thing that he only does in big matches, and followed that up with a hidden blade to get the victory.
Yep. And then afterwards, you know, we got him and Takeshita embracing, great match. So very out of character for a heel stable. Who else but shows up too? But Kyle Fletcher, sporting a new haircut and his Ring of Honor World Television Championship. And then we find Kyle Fletcher comes to the ring, embraces his longtime friend Will Ospreay. They both do the United Empire hand sign, and it was announced that on Dynamite, as of I believe as of this recording tomorrow, Will Ospreay will face off against Kyle Fletcher on Dynamite.
For some reason.
Don't know how that's going to happen. Don't know how that's going to happen.
I was like, okay, we got one. Okay. I understood it at first when Don Callis was like, okay, we'll have an exhibition match because I have so many great guys. We're gifting this as a gift to the wrestling world. And I'm like, wait, you're doing this again, but you're having him face his like best friend that lived in his house for like 2 years, and like they basically are brothers at this point because Kyle Fletcher is basically a younger version of Will Ospreay, almost like a clone of him at this point. But I'm like, yeah, definitely see at some point, hopefully when Mark Davis becomes healthier, Aussie Open will reunite, and then we'll get a little like United Empire thing going on in AEW too. But as of right now,
Absolutely.
they're just looped in this weird ass Don Callis thing, and it's like, I'm sorry, Sammy Guevara had a point when he was still on screen and doing a thing with Don Callis family. I know, like, we all ragged on him for getting mad at the Callis family and then suddenly splitting off and rejoining Jericho again. But he was like, "Go on, Hobbs, you're like the biggest thing here. You beat Chris Jericho over an inch of his life. You beat Kenny Omega twice in 1 week, in a week.
Yeah.
What are you doing with this? What are you doing with this clown Callis? You don't need him."
See, the problem is that this is another thing that kind of just fell apart.
Yeah.
This was built on Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho working together to take them down, and then Kenny Omega unfortunately has what he's going through right now, and Jericho kind of just moved aside, and then Guevara just randomly comes back and decides he likes Chris Jericho again because Chris Jericho gave him a phone call once.
And now Guerrero, because his knee landed on Jeff Hardy's face, is now suspended.
Yes, unfortunately, that is
among other factors. But yeah, that I was wondering what happened with Sammy Guevara at some point. I was like, "What? Jericho's by himself again?" I'm like, "Oh, that's what."
Yeah. So Jericho was away before he was announced for this scramble match that we talked about earlier. He was just gone for a while because I think he was on tour, and then he had that match with Atlantis Jr., which was fine. It was a callback to his time in Mexico and him teaming with Atlantis Sr. and all of that. And sure, that was fine. But yeah, and now what are we doing where the Callis family is just feuding with each other? I mean, I guess they're just, well, not feuding with, but they're just having matches with each other because they got nothing better to do.
Yeah, when you have a big monstrous faction and you can't find anybody to feud with, you have to feud with each other. You basically engineering your own demise.
Well, first of all, Will Hobbs needs to stop being put in these random groups. Just let Will Hobbs be Will Hobbs.
He needs to stop doing stupid stuff like getting taken out by fog machine water. Because at that point, I'm just laughing at this poor guy. I'm like, he's got all the tools, but like, I can't take him seriously if this is how he gets taken out of a match.
But yeah, I think it's inevitable that Will Ospreay distances himself from the Callis family at some point.
For the better.
For the better. And the United Empire is just a thing that's also in AEW. You have like four versions of Bullet Club. Why not have 3 versions of United Empire? Right. So, and that's fine. And Will Ospreay is just going to continue to have amazing matches with whoever he's in the ring with. Hopefully not Jeff Jarrett. And he said in the press conference that he wants to retire Billy Gunn. I don't know why he said this, but he did.
And also get sponsored by Nando's Chicken.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, that would be interesting if it happens.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure that was a joke and all, but yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
honestly
that's
don't
where the
know.
move. That's where the move Cheeky Nando's comes from. Is
Of
the
course.
chicken place in
Yes.
England?
Yes.
I hear it's good. I've never had it.
I've never been. I don't know.
I've had a few times. It's all right, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
But yeah,
have to cross the border into Canada then.
Will
Always welcome.
Ospreay had another classic. This is going to be
Surprise, surprise.
surprise. He's
Yeah.
already had 3 of these in the span of 3 months, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. So now he's going to have all these matches with guys that he's never faced before, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Speaking of amazing, not only a good match, in my opinion, but also great storytelling. The world title match for the AEW World Championship, in which Samoa Joe defending against Magnum TA. Oh, I'm sorry, Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland.
He shows up later.
Okay.
You know, he does. He's at the main event.
Oh, okay, yes, okay, yeah. You're right. Now I get it. Yeah. This match was well, it was supposed to be 1-on-1 with either of those two men, but because they fought to a time limit draw, and Hangman Page refusing Swerve's call for 5 more minutes, they ended up being added to both. Or Samoa Joe ended up facing both of them, and Hangman Page was adamant that his main goal, really, maybe even more than winning the world title, was to prevent Swerve from winning the world title, and that was very evident in this match.
Yep.
A lot of other things were very evident in this match. Just the fact that Swerve and Hangman are just like Peter Griffin and the giant chicken. Every time they see each other, they're just gonna fight, and this is what happened. And it's like Joe was, in a sense, I'm shocked. It's like the world champion was almost like an afterthought to this feud, which is like a continuation of Wrestle Dream, a continuation of that insane Texas death match in which there was blood being drunk and like tax and all this other shit being used. I mean, I was like, what could top this? And I was like, but we're definitely seeing massive character changes in that. Swerve is being embraced. Obviously, he was already getting that as bit of a heelish person, but I'm sorry, I keep calling him Magnum P. Adam Page just slowly is ascending into madness here. He's growing a mustache. He's got these wild bug eyes. He's just losing it all the time. A lot of cheating. Like let's talk about just. I believe there are going to be hefty fines on Mr. Hangman Adam Page for assaulting certain officials.
Let's also talk about the last Dynamite before this show, where he was playing up the reports of him being hurt, and he comes out on a single crutch with a very noticeable overplayed limp.
Yes.
And
the only thing missing was a cream-colored suit jacket.
Yeah, and obviously the reports came out as soon as this happened.
Yeah,
where he was holding his ankle the week before that he was fine.
Yeah,
he was not hurt. Jerry Lynn did not like that there was reports about this, apparently. But that's what the guys who make those reports do. That's their job. But yeah, so he shows up on Dynamite, noticeable over-exaggerated limp, crutch, and says that he is not cleared to compete. And Swerve comes out. Obviously, this was to bait Swerve to come out to confront him. And Swerve turns his attention to Samoa Joe and says, well, what he says is going to beat him, blah, blah, blah. And Adam Page hits him in the back with the crutch and knocks him out and is clearly not injured, as we all knew, to set up this match. And this was a very fun match. I will say that there was a lot of people that were very upset that Swerve didn't win. But I would say that the counter argument is that I think his win would have been overshadowed by the main event.
Yes.
So I think it was the right move not to have him to win here, but you have to do something to get him to the place where he can earn another shot at Double or Nothing, because that's where he has to win. And you can't just put him aside and then not have him in the title match at Double or Nothing. He needs to win it there because he is the guy right now. And
Absolutely.
This match was a lot of fun. There was a lot of great action, a lot of great spots, a lot of dastardly heel work by Hangman.
Yeah, Hangman gets a 2 count, just gets in a dispute with the poor referee, and then just starts wailing on his ass. I'm like, he's just beating up the referee, like deliberately, not by accident, not he accidentally hit him when he was trying to hit somebody else. He just starts beating the crap out of this referee.
So the first referee gets beat up when Swerve has a near fall. Hangman just throws him out of the ring, and then later Swerve is like very close to winning again, and Paige runs in and literally just starts punching the second ref.
Yeah.
And
ridiculous.
And again, as you mentioned, this was to drive home the story of he's more concerned about Swerve not winning than he is about him winning. So the underlying thing throughout this match was Paige is not trying to win; he's trying to prevent Swerve from winning, and he did that the entire match.
Yep, right up to the end.
All the way up to the finish. Yep.
All the way up to the finish. As Samoa Joe hooked in the coquina clutch on Adam Page, it was like Swerve was trying to climb back in the ring, but before Swerve could get the both of them, Page just starts tapping. As we said earlier, Page, his main goal, maybe more than trying to win the title, was to prevent Swerve from winning the title. And that's what the commentary team brought up, which I found was great in tying everything together. Yeah, they were like, yeah, was Page like actually tapping because he was just couldn't take it anymore? Was he just preventing Swerve from winning? Because
and I think that was driven home by when the match was over. Swerve had this dejected look on his face because obviously he didn't lose the match. Hangman did, and
that's true.
So he's like, wait a minute, did he really tap out, or like did he just screw me because he didn't want me to win? Like. And again, Swerve obviously is going to work his way up. Double or Nothing isn't until May. We're in the beginning of March, so there's time for him to work his way back up.
Well, the seed's already planted. He can cling. He never lost this match, so it's like
true.
I'm not the guy that tapped out. I'm not the guy that got pinned.
Yep. I will say there was a lot of great back and forth action in this match. Everybody in this match, of course, is just really good at wrestling, and it's crazy.
One spot I just remembered. And they've done this before. Swerve's in the ring. Prince Nana throws in his crown to Swerve as used as a foreign object.
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
And Swerve throws it right back at him. He's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that this time."
And I think that was the telltale sign of the double turn, right? Because he didn't want to use the crown, but Hangman used the belt multiple times.
Oh my gosh, it was like,
One other thing of note that I thought was really quite interesting was the finish with Joe coming in and putting the coquina clutch onto Hangman. It actually reminded me a lot of the Lesnar Cena Rollins triple threat, where Joe just kind of came out of nowhere. Like you weren't even really expecting Joe anywhere near the finish of the match at that point, and then boom, he's there. He's got the clutch in on Paige, and then obviously very wisely Paige taps out to prevent Swerve from winning, and I just thought that was like just a really nice touch.
Yeah, I I really enjoyed this match. It was really fun, and like I said, I'm not upset that Swerve didn't win because I know that it's going to happen at some point. It has to. Tony Khan knows. He knows that Swerve is probably one of the most over guys right now. And again, I think that if Swerve would have won, he wouldn't have gotten the moment that he would have wanted because everybody would just be talking about the main event. And that's why I think it was the right move to not have him be the person who got pinned or submitted, and he will have a valid argument to that
Mm.
in the coming weeks and months.
Yep. And so, reason, of course, we mentioned that Swerve not winning the world title would have taken away the attention of tonight's main event, the AEW World Tag Team titles in a tornado match. Also, Sting's last wrestling match ever, being billed
Yes.
as. The Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the EVPs, the Succession wannabes, taking on the team of Darby Allin and Sting, who won the AEW World Tag Team titles about 25 days before against Ricky Starks and Big Bill.
So even before the match, the entrances.
Yes, the Bucks had their entrance.
They used the Cody Vader.
Yes, I noticed that. And instead of money, instead of dollar bills, it's now business cards that are popping out. And it's like, oh no, we're not giving out free money anymore. We're just giving out our business cards. Okay, here. You take our business cards. We'll do business.
But
yes,
Darby just comes out regularly, like Darby.
Yep. And then the lights go out. We go to a scene where it's like we're in front of the Apollo Theater or something.
Yes, Sting's in like a movie theater, and he's basically watching his career on a video screen without WCW footage.
Yeah, well, there were a few pictures, I believe, from Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. About like his time in WCW also. Yeah, fortunately no WWE footage, but probably not much
but
worth to talk about.
There was enough of Surfer Sting New Japan footage for it to be passable, right?
Yep.
The lights. Yeah, they play his actual theme song.
Yeah, well, he goes. Yeah, he leaves the theater, says it's showtime, and then we go to the theme song, and then we saw Surfer Sting come out, and I was like, I thought for a second, like, did he actually cut his hair and change his whole thing? And I look at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, he's too buff right now, and it's like, I was thinking, oh, it's much more of his sons, and I was like, oh, and then I saw Wolfpack Sting come out. It says his other son, and I'm like, oh, I know what this is.
His younger son was Wolfpack, and then he appears, and they play Seek and Destroy again, which absolutely love. Not even just because it's just so
even if
Sting.
this was just a one time. Obviously, this is like one time use, but man,
he used it at Wembley, and then he used it here, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But so then they the
we
match.
Mentioned but before that we totally forgot. Mr. Ric Flair came out. Not only that, the other Ricky the Dragon Steamboat came out as the guest timekeeper. We also got shots of the aforementioned Rio Magnum TA alongside Nikolai Volkov and and apparently a very healthy Scotty Riggs after he's gone through the DDP yoga regimen. Lex Luger was apparently also there. He was sitting in the back somewhere as he's wheelchair bound. But a litany of just legends of the Crockett era, WCW era, there to see Sting off in his final match.
And I guess we can mention it here since we haven't talked about it. Kevin Nash. So Kevin Nash says on his podcast that he is not allowed. First, he says he is not allowed to appear because of his WWE obligations, which he does not have. And then he says, "Oh, I didn't say that. I said that I just don't feel comfortable doing it because they're going to show me on screen and give me a nameplate and everything, and that'll just look bad because Triple H is my friend.
Yeah, that Legends contract, right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's probably what he's implying.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
I mean,
what?
just go to
Not
the
too much.
show. You don't have to sit in the crowd. Like,
Yeah, you don't have to be in the front row. Just go.
just
You
go
can
to
go and
some.
be backstage. I mean, it doesn't even
Yeah,
matter.
and there was no reports of that being the case, but I just thought that was very dumb of him to say. I love Kevin Nash as a person and as a wrestler, but yeah, that like just go support your friend. Who
Yeah, it's not. It
cares?
doesn't have to be a political move. Yeah.
I mean, Billy Gunn was at the DX Hall of Fame. Who cares? Who
True.
cares? But anyway, this
The
match. This match. Sting says in the press conference that it is one of his top 3 matches of his entire career.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
can't fault him for saying that because holy shit.
Yeah, this started off hot.
Well,
Darby and Sting.
At the very beginning, everybody gets in the ring and just starts beating up on the Bucks, including Sting's sons who are not wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, is this gonna go on for the whole match? It's 4 against
4 on
2
2
here.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So they just beat them down for a little and then get them into opposite corners. Sting's youngest son had a hell of a stinger splash. Like,
yeah, I was like, hey, these guys got a future if they want it. I mean,
yeah, and Darby was doing like back splashes instead of stinger splashes because coffin drop. And so that was happening for like the first like 3 or 5 minutes of the match, of just them beating up on the Young Bucks. And then when it starts to break down, Stink's sons just randomly are just setting up tables and we'll help you out, Dad. We'll set up some tables for you. And
all the hardware.
You know what? We'll pull out some panes of glass for you.
Yeah.
And there's like multiple. Like, okay,
I was just randomly thinking, like, did GCW do an inventory count because they're probably missing some panes of glass? And I was like, wasn't there a whole issue with glass that led to like a huge firing and like a suspension? Yeah, yes. I was like, oh gee, I wonder what kind of glass is that? You know?
So the glass is just leaning on the ring, and there's like multiple panes of glass. They set one up as a table on top of some chairs, and that comes into play much later. Yeah. But we go up the ramp, and there's first a Falcon Arrow by Nick onto Darby into 2 tables, and then on the opposite side, a superplex by Matt to Sting into 2 tables.
Great.
So right off the bat, we're just like, it's his last match.
But this is but this becomes the pivot as the Bucks take Darby back because Darby they see as the weaker person. They take him back to the ring to do stuff. I don't know if at this point is when Darby decided he want to try to kill himself, but
yeah. So we get a very large ladder. Like I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you
20-foot, 25 feet ladder, whatever.
20 foot at least, yeah.
At least, yeah. Right.
So the aforementioned pane of glass that is laying on 4 chairs like a table. Nick is just like laying on it, but barely. And Darby climbs up this ladder and takes his time in sweet Jeff Hardy fashion. And pounds his chest a little and goes to do a swanton, and Matt of course pulls Nick out of the way, and Darby just lands directly on top of this pane of glass that shatters into a million pieces and hits people in the front row
onto the outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
onto the floor,
Yeah.
and as soon as it shatters, he rolls over onto his stomach, and you see his back literally
shredded.
oozing blood from
Yeah.
all these orifices.
And you're
Like,
like, oh,
It's-
that's real.
like
And
Yeah.
I mean,
now
it
you
was
rewind it back,
it was
and you're
absolutely
like,
crazy. I
that glass,
absolutely
those pieces of glass touched members of the audience or flew
yes.
into members
Uh,
of the
Mhm.
so
audience.
I
I'm not
absolutely loved
laughing
it. I absolutely loved it, but we didn't need to do this in
It's
like right next
at
to some
all.
people.
Like I
it
just
has
said, like it flew into people. There's a safety issue now. I'm not laughing because I find it's funny. I'm just laughing because this is insane. Like
yeah.
they had
Yeah.
I don't want to say the line CM Punk may have been right or was right, but he
But
might have had a
you
point.
He may have been
there.
right. He may have been right.
You
I mean,
also could have
right.
like did this on the stage away from people.
Hello.
Well,
like
just the fact that it happened is the damnedest thing that I've ever
yeah,
seen in
yeah.
a wrestling match ever.
Yeah.
Of
And
all the things to break your fall to the outside from inside the ring, in addition to being on top of a 20-foot ladder, so that's at least a 25 to 30-foot drop.
yeah,
To go through glass
it was
is
literally like
horrifying.
a 25-foot fall, and then just like 3 inches between floor and glass.
Yeah.
There's like no safety cushion. It not literal cushion.
I
No
mean,
figurative cushion.
I
This is
bet
just
if I know like the person that Darby Allen is, he probably was like, "Oh no, I'll just do the bump." Like,
Yeah.
But I'm like, how did they? I'm like,
Insane.
how did this get approved? I was under the assumption they had a list of things that you had to
well,
like
they
get
had to get it
approval
approved
for.
first, but
I mean, like,
like my
like they really approved this?
my only issue with it was that it was very near people. Like,
Yeah. Well,
I,
speaking of that, if you looked at subsequently, Sting comes back in the ring and he decides, oh, if Darby could do it, I could do it better.
yeah, so they another pane of glass leaning against the corner, and Nick just takes Sting and
Ugh.
just throws him into it like an Irish whip.
Yeah, they both threw him into it, I think. Or
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at it.
Mhm.
Or maybe
Um,
yeah, in a sense, both kind of threw him into it. But I'm looking at this tweet from somebody called Triple H's Thoughts, and
uh-huh.
this video is from the vantage point of that corner where Sting was thrown in, where the people were sitting, and it's just like no protection. The glass is just flowing straight into the crowd, and
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
is real glass on people.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
to what we know, I mean, it could be sugar glass for all we know.
Most likely it was.
Okay,
I
hope-
mean, it
okay,
it
maybe
broke
that
very.
pane of glass that Sting hit was sugar glass, but that was
The-
not sugar glass that Darby landed
No,
on.
Darby had real glass. I mean, maybe that's
Uh,
Like,
crazy.
can you
So
imagine if they accidentally switched it by mistake? Like the
Oh, jeez.
ramifications of that.
we're gonna have a Kurt Angle
Holy
Shane
shit!
McMahon issue here.
Oh, good lord!
So back in the ring, even before the glass spot with Sting, there was a table that was brought into the ring, and for some reason, Sting decided I'll climb the ladder, and I think he was going to do a splash onto the ladder, off the ladder onto the table, but he never got to the point where he could turn around and jump off because the Bucks just caught him into a power bomb and power bombed him through the table off the ladder, and then he was thrown into that corner piece of glass. And at this point, Darby is out of commission because the doctors are trying to prevent him from bleeding out. Um,
This is just
um,
ridiculous.
so it's just the Bucks versus Sting. And they're hitting Sting with everything. And in Sting fashion, he's just no selling it. Like,
Yeah.
he's the superhero and can't be beaten. They hit him with the EVP trigger twice, and he kicks out at one. They are about to go for the TK driver, the former Meltzer driver. But this is where Darby reemerges, and
somehow
just pushes Nick off the top rope into another table that was set up on the opposite side. And
Nick goes crashing through the table and he's done.
Sting fights out of it and hits the Scorpion Death Drop. Then Darby hits a coffin drop because he was able to do something after that. And then Sting locks in the Scorpion Deathlock on Matt, and Matt taps out. And the match is over. And
beautiful sequence, beautiful ending.
Yes,
very messy though.
The match was
not entirely safe.
Very fun, a very fun match. Again,
but I just rewinding back a bit here. Wasn't it at one point that Sting got powerbombed through the table, but he just got up?
Yeah, he no-sold it.
Yeah, he kept firing up. He fired up through everything.
There was a whole long. There was a long time where he was just by himself.
Right. We didn't even cover the Ric Flair spot where Ric Flair's pleading with Matt and Nick Jackson.
Oh yeah, so Ric Flair gets after Sting was thrown into the glass and is knocked down. Ric Flair gets into the ring and he's like pleading with them, like, "No, stop it, leave him alone." And like,
Ric Flair is lying on top of his friend Sting to prevent
the glass
to prevent him from prevent the Bucks from doing anything else. And I was just like, man, 40-year relationship. Like, these guys fought for 45 minutes in this Coliseum. It's all come down. Ric Flair, this decrepit 75-year-old Ric Flair, can't do anything else except to just try to use his body to protect his friend.
So then the Bucks hit a super kick on Rick.
Yes.
Without making any contact at all.
Who then rolls into the real glass and stays there.
And
he's sold staying there.
He's like,
he must have had some good.
I think Ric Flair died for like 5 minutes or something.
The way he was laying there was very concerning.
It's not the least comfortable place he's ever slept, which should raise some flags.
I have seen pictures,
after this.
Wait. I have seen pictures of Lennon and Mao embalmed in their tombs, and they look more alive than Ric Flair did at that moment, lying flat on his back.
It was quite the sell.
Yeah,
it was absolutely.
Ricky Steamboat gets up and tries to get involved as well, but he just gets a low blow. So that was unnecessary. Then.
He got super kicked too, didn't he? He got the stereo super
I believe there was also a super kick after the low blow. Yeah. Also, there was a callback to "I'm sorry, I love you," but instead they said, "We're not sorry, we hate you." That's what they said. That's what they said to Sting. In stereo super kicked him. But of course, like we already discussed the finish where he powered up and just won, which is absolutely fine. Sting in his run in this run in AEW and one match in Noah was 30-0, did not lose at all, and that's absolutely okay.
Yeah, exactly. This was the ideal way to end this historic career.
Yep.
I mean, they I think there was attempts to try it, but there was a lot of mistakes made in WWE. But
Sting did not want to win the tag titles, and
that's the thing that we forgot to point out, that he didn't want to win a title during this run, but circumstances came to the point where they're like, he was convinced to do a short reign, and then that was it.
And I think he probably wanted to lose this match also. I wouldn't be surprised. But this match was a whole lot of fun. And it's a hell of a way to end a almost 40-year career of one of the biggest legends in the history of the business. He is I was not a WCW kid, so I was not a huge Sting fan growing up, but I learned to respect him later. And of course, I was around for pretty much all of his TNA run. I obviously have gone back and watched a lot of his older matches and found the greatness in him in those matches, and respect the hell out of him for what he has done during this run, considering that he almost retired completely 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Almost
we
a
all
forced
forgot that.
retirement.
Yeah, it was after that match with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2015, and it was like I think it was around 2015.
Night of
Yeah,
Night of
Champions.
Night of
Champions.
Champions.
Yeah, Night of Champions. That was the night that Seth Rollins had 2 matches. So
Yeah, back to
yeah,
back.
yeah, I remember that. And next
Yep.
year they put Sting in the Hall of Fame, and we thought that was about it. And then
Yep. And
in,
never got that Undertaker match.
yeah,
The only match that he wanted in WWE. Instead, he got to lose to Triple H at WrestleMania, but with the help of DX.
Sweet.
And
and for the with the NWO helping Sting for some reason.
Yeah.
yes.
Kevin Nash showed
and-
up to that one though. Kevin Nash was there. For
well,
that
yeah,
one.
because Triple H was there. But regardless of all of that, this was again just a great way to end a career. He goes out on top, goes out on his own terms, and effectively the tag titles have been vacated.
Yes,
And
Tony tournament will be used to crown the new champions. We mentioned some teams that are in contention for that, obviously already. Mox and Claudio. I mean, the EVPs obviously could put themselves in this tournament.
Of course, I'm sure FTR will be involved. I'm
Yeah.
sure Private Party will be involved. They're on their way back up, and it has felt like they have kind of lost the I don't want to use their terms, but lost the feeling of their tag team division of what they set out for it to be originally. Yes, there's been a lot of great matches, but the focus of the tag team division that they had at one point for a while didn't seem like it was there anymore.
Yeah, it's been a lot of teams lately had been like, I mean, the last team that held the title longer than, well, the last 2 teams technically that have held the titles were like not almost a full-time tag team.
Well,
Like
Starks
Sting
and
and Darby Allin.
Big Bill.
Starks and Big Bill were kind of just thrown together very recently, and Darby Allin and Sting. It was more just so. It wasn't so that they were doing a tag division run. It was more like just building up Darby, and in a sense that Sting could get influenced by Darby in his matches. And there was no way Sting was going to have a singles match, right?
No.
So
No,
it was always going to be tag matches or some tornado match or something.
And obviously, we talked about it when Sting's retirement was announced, of the possibility of him facing Darby, and I think that was never really in the cards because a singles match was kind of out of the question.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times Darby just did most of the heavy lifting, and Sting just fell off of stuff, which in hindsight was probably not the greatest idea, but he did that a lot, and he seems to be fine. So
yeah.
But yeah, this was a hell of a pay-per-view as a whole. One of the best pay-per-views they've done in a long time. And as I mentioned from the top of the show, top to bottom, a great pay-per-view. Some matches were amazing, some matches were great, and some matches were just okay, but none of them were bad. None of them were bad.
That's true.
Yeah.
There was no match that made us all like, this is the worst thing ever. You know, there were matches that were like meh, that were like funny, but they didn't outright made any of us.
I mean, if I had watched the Jeff Jarrett match, maybe I would have felt that way, but I did not. So I'm okay.
Yeah, there's
that might have helped this review chug along, because if it was like if you had to review that anything Jeff Jarrett did, might have taken longer.
Right. Yeah, there's at least 5 matches on this card that I would rate a 4 out of 5. At least a 4 out of 5. and then everything else was either average or above average. Nothing really bad about the card at all, except for maybe um, maybe some of the pre-show stuff. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yep. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
we're gonna have our first April pay-per-view, as mentioned earlier, Dynasty. I am curious to see how we're going to build to that show. I guess we'll have this tag team tournament. I wonder when we're gonna have the announcement of that, whether it's as soon as Wednesday or if we're going to build to that over time. And yeah, we'll see what's next. Obviously, I guess Wardlow will probably get his title shot at that pay per view. Um, and yeah, we'll see what's going on with all these other stories. But yeah, AEW is definitely on the rise right now. And
despite what people say,
as we mentioned earlier, March 13th is going to be a very big show. The Big Business Show, as everybody knows by now, is going to 100% be the
take place
debut.
in Boston.
Yes,
Baston.
Boston.
the debut
Baston.
of Mercedes Moné is certain to happen there, and Kazuchika Okada is incoming, as far as we know.
Any other money-related people coming?
I mean,
Ted DiBiase, perhaps.
I don't think so. I think he's a little busy.
Okay. Legal
But
troubles, I
Yeah, you
hear.
know what? You know what's
Allegedly.
sad? You know what's sad? Rest in peace, Soul Train Jones, the former Virgil.
oh
If
yes,
Virgil was still with us, I think he would have stolen the $1 million championship and made some random appearance on Big Business to promote meat sauce. Promote meat
well,
sauce because Daddy
I
needs some money, right?
I don't think
Yeah.
he would have legally been allowed to bring that belt, but
Well, he would have brought a replica or something and then just claimed it was his anyway, because he's like, I'm
um,
the former champion.
but yes,
Anyway,
I think there we are going to call this a show. If you haven't, go out of your way to at least watch the tag match and Will Ospreay versus Takeshita, because those matches and Kingston versus Danielson, I would say those three in particular are must watches.
Mhm.
But yeah, make sure to follow us on everything. Go to our linktree / going over big time podcast, where you can get every way to watch / listen to this show, as well as all of our social medias and the Twitter / X of the podcast. And yeah, um, that's it for me. Alan, what are your closing thoughts?
well, just wanted to close by saying thank you, Sting, for almost 4 decade long career, entertaining all of us, giving us your all. Um, you know, I mean, I hope to see him like in some capacity, not in the ring, but still involved. But if he just decides to ride off into the sunset, proverbial sunset, and just take it easy, we love you, Sting. Thank you very much.
Tanner?
Yeah, same. Thank you, Sting. I was fortunate enough to be able to watch your career from WCW all the way through Impact, TNA, all the way through your WWE run, as short as that was, and then of course finally here in AEW. I was very fortunate a couple years ago to be able to attend an AEW show where Sting made an appearance, and that was really really cool. So yes, thank you, Sting, for all the memories.
Thank you, Sting. And that's going to do it for us. Thank you, everybody.